My name is Roland Augustus. I used to be an overworked office worker in my old world, but now I have been reborn as Roland Augustus, the second son of a powerful noble family. In this world of magic and knights, I live a life of extreme luxury in a grand castle, but I am not content just being a shadow of my brilliant older brother, Saul. While he is already a top-tier knight and the official heir to our family's title, I have a secret advantage, a mysterious status panel from the game I was developing before I died. My daily life involves intense combat training with Captain Mon to improve my skills and reach the rank of Golden Knight. After training, I recover in magical baths prepared by my maid, Lisa, using potions that strengthen my body. Although Lisa worries about my safety, I am determined to carve out my own path. The big moment came during my 18th birthday coming-of-age ceremony. In the magnificent banquet hall, surrounded by crystal lamps and noble guests, my parents presented me with a choice: a staff to stay and manage family affairs, or a sword to go out and conquer new lands. To the surprise of many who think I am average, I chose the sword. I declared my intent to travel to the dangerous Thorn Wasteland to build my own territory and uphold our family honor. My father was proud of my ambition, and my brothers were supportive, though some uncles in the family think I am crazy for heading into such a dangerous area. During the grand celebration, I even gained the courage to dance with a beautiful, silver-haired noblewoman named Sophia. While she was impressed by my boldness, she made it clear she only respects those with real titles and land. This only makes me want to work harder. Now, the celebration is over and the real work begins. I have already ordered my team to sell my extra belongings to gather funds. With my knowledge from my past life and the power of my system panel, I am ready to leave the safety of my home and become a true lord in the wild frontier. After dancing with Sophia, who made it clear she only desires a man with real power and lands, I realized I must work twice as hard to prove my worth. My family found my rejection by the rose with thorns amusing, but the night ended on a productive note. I returned to my room, where Lisa had prepared everything for me. I gave orders to sell off my collections and gifts in Golden Lion City to build up my starting capital. The next morning, I dove into the history of my new world, learning about the ancient wars between humans, divine beings, and dragons. I am fascinated by the strength of the Titans, though my focus quickly shifted back to my own survival. I summoned my 3 primary guards, Mon, Holland, and Simon, and had them swear a soul oath to me. This magically binds their loyalty directly to me rather than the family. While they are strong, I know my true advantage is my panel, a game system I was creating in my previous life. It allows me to see stats, use a map, and ensure the loyalty of my followers stays high. Before leaving, I met with my father at the stables to claim my inheritance package. We raced powerful storm horses, and he reminded me that building a territory requires both aggression and patience. He promised me the family's full support, but reminded me I could always come home if I failed. I told him firmly that I wouldn't spend my life doing nothing. I am an Augustus. By that evening, Lisa had gathered over 13,000 gold coins from my sales. My staff, including my steward James and Commander Oliver, arrived to discuss the massive support package the family provided. 1 million gold coins, thousands of workers, a year's worth of food, and high-tech magic equipment for factories and blacksmithing. My military force includes 500 infantry and 50 silver knights on gale horses. With my system panel and this incredible amount of resources, I feel confident. I am no longer just a second son. I am a lord ready to conquer the wild frontier. I was finally ready to see the military force my family provided. My commander, Oliver, handed me a detailed marching plan that covered everything from patrol schedules to camp locations. This was a huge relief because, while I have plenty of modern theories in my head, I have no real experience leading an army. At the training ground, I saw 50 silver knights on armored horses, 500 infantrymen with steel spears, and a powerful artillery unit with magic cannons. Standing before them, I drew my sword and gave a speech about victory and glory. Their loud shouts of loyalty reminded me just how much power the Augustus name holds. On February 1st, we began our long journey. I led over 6,000 people away from our castle into the misty morning. As we marched, I made sure my stewards kept a strict count of the workers and craftsmen to prevent anyone from disappearing. A month later, after traveling 1,000 kilometers, we reached the massive Gran city. It is a giant metropolis with high walls, magic towers, and busy factories. I sent the main army to camp outside while I entered with my elite guards and silver knights. Being an eternal noble has its perks. The city guards cleared the way for my carriage, and I was given a luxury residence with gardens and a lake. I immediately sent my butler, James, to check prices and gather news about the frontier. While relaxing in a hot bath, I focused on my secret goal, learning magic. Even though my family thinks my talent is low, I plan to become a dual-class warrior, both a knight and a mage. That evening, James brought me exciting news. There are rumors of a hidden magic crystal mine at a place called Black Gold Ridge. Most people think it is just a story, but I saw it as a massive opportunity. The next morning, I went to the kingdom's development office to officially register my new land. The respect I received from the public and the guards was incredible. I walked into the office of the supervisor, ready to claim my territory and start my rise to power. I met with Sir Villain at the development office to finalize my territory registration. I was surprised by his overly polite welcome, especially since he was a noble himself working in such a lowly position. Despite my confusion, I kept my focus on the task. He presented me with a magical scroll where I had to officially select my future land. When I asked about the Star Plateau, Villain pointed out areas like Wolffang Ridge and Knot Hills, claiming they were the best spots for farming and building. However, I noticed his eyes avoid Black Gold Ridge, which was labeled as a poor and barren area. I decided to test him by mentioning the rumors of a magic crystal mine I had heard about earlier. Villain quickly dismissed the news as a lie, insisting that any real mine would have been taken by powerful lords long ago. I could tell he was trying to steer me away from the best prize. I played along for a moment, acting like a naive newcomer, while I watched his reaction. When I finally declared that I chose Black Gold Ridge, his friendly mask slipped, and he looked panicked. He tried to scare me by saying the land was dangerous and full of monsters, but I didn't change my mind. I signed the scroll, and it instantly turned into starlight, sending my choice to the capital. Villain's face turned dark when he realized he couldn't stop me. He told me I was being foolish and that the land was useless, but I wasn't intimidated. I reminded him that the Augustus family name carries great weight and that I would find out the truth for myself. I walked out of the office with my guards, leaving the worried official behind. I have my land now, and I am ready to prove everyone wrong. Villain left the expansion office with a gloomy expression and went straight to the administrative mansion of Gran City. The guards let him through immediately. It was clear he was a frequent visitor there. Philip, the steward of the Spencer family, was in the study, enjoying a fine wine from Rose City in the Holy Crown Empire, the Divine Nectar. A small bottle of this famous wine cost 100 gold coins. When he heard the door open, Philip didn't look up. He gently swirled the crystal glass in his hand and said, "What's wrong? You look upset. Did things not go well?" Villain stepped forward, looking guilty. That young man, Roland, is too clever. He just arrived in Gran City yesterday, yet he already found out the details about Black Gold Ridge. Philip set down his glass and smiled faintly. I underestimated him. It's not your fault. He stood up, walked to the window, and looked out at the busy streets of Gran City. Here's what we'll do. Send a few spies who are good at disguises. Have them pretend to be black market traders. Let them go near Black Gold Ridge and trade with the Knoll tribes. They should accidentally show some magic crystals and claim they found them at Black Gold Ridge. Then tell the Knolls that a human lord is about to build a territory nearby. Not very strong, not even a baron. Villain's eyes lit up, and he quickly nodded. That way, the Knolls will attack him on their own. Once Black Gold Ridge is taken, we can step in and clean up the mess. Philip smiled with satisfaction and turned to give more orders. Have the people from Gran Mining Company return for now. Make sure everything is handled properly. Don't reveal the location of the magic crystal mine. Black Gold Ridge is huge. Roland won't find it anytime soon. I'll take care of it, sir, Villain replied, then hesitated. What about Griffin? We took his payment, but we can't give him Black Gold Ridge. Philip's smile faded, and he frowned. When Griffin arrives, we'll find him another rich territory. I'm sure he'll understand. Even if Roland's father, the Marquis, comes, there's nothing he can do. Meanwhile, Roland knew nothing about any of this. Accompanied by Morn and the others, he arrived at street. The street was clean and well kept, with wide, grand buildings on both sides. In front of every shop stood a raised auction platform. From time to time, neatly dressed men and women were brought up for sale. Everything looked completely different from the dirty, chaotic markets he had imagined. This was all thanks to the unique regulations of the Human Alliance. The nations and factions of the Human Alliance all follow these sacred and inviolable principles. The absolute rights of nobles are sacred and cannot be violated. The lives and property of free citizens are sacred and cannot be violated. The right of slaves to become free citizens is sacred and cannot be violated. Any who creates 10 to 100 times their own value for their master can become a free citizen. Any pair of couples who raise 4 children to adulthood can also become free citizens. Each year, slaves found to have extraordinary talent are often granted freedom by nobles, though not always. Most nobles set nearly impossible goals for creating 100 times value, forcing slaves to choose the easier path of raising children to gain freedom. This led to an ever-growing number of slaves, so many that some nobles could sustain their territories simply by selling the excess. The person who made these rules is truly a genius, Roland thought to himself as he walked toward a large trading house. Inside, a plump merchant noticed Roland accompanied by several extraordinary knights and immediately realized a big deal was coming his way. With a broad smile, he hurried forward. "My lord, I am Doug, the manager of the Black Forest Company. We have the finest human slaves available." Roland waved his hand and said directly, "I need 500 mining slaves and 2,000 farming slaves. Do you have that many?" Doug was momentarily stunned. Then his face lit up with excitement. "You've come to the right place, my lord. Our company works with many territories across the kingdom. Gathering that number won't be a problem. However, mining slaves are specially trained, so their price is naturally higher." Roland frowned. "Think carefully before you speak. I'm a frontier lord. There will be plenty of business with me in the future." Doug's round face broke into a flattering grin, his small eyes narrowing to slits. "Of course, my lord. Mining slaves are 20 gold coins each, and farming slaves are 10. How does that sound? If you're not sincere, I can always go to another trading house," Roland said, clearly displeased. The prices James had found were much lower than what Doug offered. Seeing Roland's expression, Doug quickly leaned closer and said anxiously, "My lord, I must have remembered wrong. Please wait a moment." He quickly put on a pained expression and said through gritted teeth, 18 gold coins for a mine worker, 9 for a farm worker. His exaggerated act made Roland turn to leave. This greedy man clearly wanted to overcharge him. "Wait, my lord. At least make me an offer." Doug hurried after him, short legs moving fast, afraid to lose such a big deal. As he walked toward the door, Roland replied casually, 10 gold coins for a mine worker, 5 for a farm worker. "Deal, my lord." Doug felt a deep sting in his heart. He had actually met a noble who knew how to bargain. Who could he even complain to? He agreed too quickly. "I must have asked for too much," Roland muttered helplessly. "Don't try to trick me with weak workers. I want strong and healthy ones, understand?" Doug patted his chest and promised, "Don't worry, my lord. I'll make sure everything is arranged properly. As for the ratio of men to women, I'll give you the best, 1 to 1. He knew very well how much these frontier nobles valued population. Offering a small benefit now could win him a long-term customer. It was worth it. Future orders would bring him great profit. Roland looked at Doug in surprise. Normally, the ratio was 2 to 1. This man was being unusually generous. Smiling, Roland said, "Good. You'll have plenty of business from me in the future. Go get the trade contract." After Doug left, Roland turned and ordered, "Simon, go find James. Help him move the workers to the camp outside the city. Tell Oliver we'll leave early tomorrow morning." "Yes, young master." After the deal, Roland had planned to check on the foreign workers, but then he thought he could capture some himself for free. No need to waste money. Feeling pleased, he rode away from street in his carriage. Before long, he arrived at Spencer Avenue in the Noble District. Both the Storm Chamber of Commerce and the Human United Bank were located there. He planned to collect the food and gold his family had sent. Roland first went to the Storm Chamber of Commerce. As soon as he entered, the luxurious setting caught his eye. "No wonder it's directly under the royal family," he murmured. The interior was vast, with walls inlaid with countless magic crystal lamps that lit the hall brightly. The main hall displayed a dazzling array of magical machines, their elemental runes glowing faintly like stars. Leon, the supervisor who had been sitting in the lounge drinking coffee, immediately noticed the figure at the door dressed in elegant noble attire. He quickly stood up, put on a warm smile, and hurried forward. "Welcome to the Storm Chamber of Commerce. I'm Leon, and it's my honor to serve you, sir." Roland gave a slight nod. "I'm Roland of the Augustus family. I'm here to collect the grain our family stored." "Oh, a member of the Golden Lion family. Your family's grain has long been prepared. We've just been waiting for your arrival," Leon said eagerly. "You can collect it any time." "Good," Roland replied with satisfaction. "Arrange for it to be transported to the camp outside the city today. Holland, you'll guide their people." "Yes, young master," Holland answered. Then Roland turned to Leon. "Show me your magitech machines, those used for farming and mining. What do you recommend?" A spark of excitement flashed in Leon's eyes as he led Roland to a large magitech farming machine. He began his introduction enthusiastically. "Sir, this is a top product from Etheria. It can handle all farming tasks, plowing, sowing, and harvesting. One machine can cultivate 180 acres a day, using only a third of the energy of similar models, and it only needs 2 workers to operate." Roland rolled his eyes. He could already guess that this was far beyond his budget. "All right, tell me the price so I can give up on it." Leon said carefully, "It's not that expensive. Only 50,000 gold coins per unit." "Are you kidding me?" Roland exclaimed, eyes wide. "That's enough to buy a small town. Do you take me for a fool?" He had expected it to be costly, but not that outrageous. After all, a free citizen earned about 50 silver coins a month, 6 gold coins a year. 50,000 gold coins would take one person over 8,000 years to earn. Leon's face showed embarrassment as he quickly waved his hands. "Please don't be angry, sir. You may not know, this magitech farming machine was designed and built by a legendary mage from Etheria after years of effort. The price is set across the entire continent. I wouldn't dare overcharge you." Roland snorted. "Show me the plowing and harvesting machines instead. Don't waste my time with these flashy toys. Please take a look at these 2 models, the Type 1 Magic Power Cultivator and the Type 3 Magic Power Harvester. These are designed and produced by the Royal Archmage, Princess Elizabeth's company. The quality is guaranteed, and the price is fair. A royal brand you can trust." Examining the 2 machines, Roland smiled slightly with a hint of amusement. "Oh, a product from Princess Elizabeth's company? Sounds impressive. Let's hear the price first." Lion smiled nervously, trying to sound confident. "Don't worry, sir. This time the price is truly fair. The Type 1 Magic Power Cultivator is 500 gold coins each, and the Type 3 Magic Power Harvester is 800 gold coins each. These 2 models are very popular across the kingdom." Roland rubbed his chin, thinking for a moment before saying, "I'll offer 300 for the cultivator and 500 for the harvester. I'll be buying more machines later." "That's impossible." Lion almost jumped up. "Sir, no one in the entire Ashen Mines can get them at that price." Roland narrowed his eyes with a smile. "Then what's the lowest price you can offer? If it's too high, I'll have to check with the United Chamber of Commerce in the Starshine Federation. I've heard their goods are both good and cheap." Lion sighed helplessly. "The lowest I can go is 400 for the cultivator and 600 for the harvester. Any lower, and I won't be able to explain it to the chamber." Seeing Lion's troubled expression, Roland realized that was probably the best price. "All right then, prepare 20 of each, cultivators and harvesters, and deliver them to the camp outside the city along with the grain. If there's any problem with the quality, you'll be responsible." "Of course, sir." Lion's face lit up with a humble smile. "Our Storm Chamber of Commerce guarantees both quality and quantity." After finishing the purchase, Roland relaxed, patted Lion on the shoulder, and left the chamber, leaving Holland to handle the details. Finally free, Roland called for Lisa. "I'm going to train. Don't let anyone disturb me." The young maid quickly replied, "Yes, sir. I'll stand guard at the door. From now on, call me master." "I'm no longer part of the family," Roland said with a gentle pat on her shoulder. "Go on." Then Roland sat cross-legged on the bed, preparing to meditate. "I don't believe I can't do it. Today, I'll definitely succeed." With that, he began his meditation technique. The world around him slowly faded away, becoming hazy and distant, until only his consciousness drifted quietly in the darkness. He tried to capture that faint, almost invisible fluctuation of elemental energy. No one knew how much time had passed when countless glowing elemental particles began to surge toward him. He stretched out his consciousness, trying to grasp and merge them into his spiritual sea, but the particles darted around like mischievous children, refusing to obey. Roland grew more and more restless, repeatedly trying to catch the elements, but every attempt ended in failure. Sweat rolled down his forehead, soaking his collar, and his breathing became heavier. His brows furrowed tightly, and frustration surged in his heart like a rising tide. I can't even get started. In those stories, the main characters master both magic and combat so easily. Am I really that hopeless? He left his meditative state, feeling a bit defeated. He knew well that in this world, one could only follow a single extraordinary path. Once a person awakened the knight's heart and formed a seed of battle energy, the path of a mage was forever closed. But his misplaced confidence as a traveler from another world had made him believe he could do both. Reality, however, had proven him wrong. After more than a month of effort, he still couldn't even begin true meditation. Maybe I should face the truth. I can't let my old world ideas mislead me. Knights are not weaker than mages in strength. Roland slowly stood up and looked at his slightly disheveled reflection in the mirror. The confusion and unwillingness in his eyes gradually faded, replaced by calm determination. He had to let go of unrealistic fantasies and stop thinking that being a traveler made him the all-powerful main character. Confidence was good, but arrogance was dangerous. Even with special advantages, success only became easier, not guaranteed. Panel. Main task. Obtain a territory to unlock the system's full functions. Incomplete. It seems I'll have to reach Black Gold Ridge to finish this. Tomorrow we set out. No more delays. On the morning of March 3rd, year 92 of the Magic Era, as dawn broke, Roland had already joined the team outside the city. Sir, everything is ready. Roland nodded to his sweating butler, his eyes full of anticipation. He turned to Oliver, who sat astride his storm warhorse, and said, "Let's move out." At his command, the vast expedition team began to move, winding away from the camp outside the gates of Gran City like a great dragon. Along the Royal Avenue, the farmland on both sides gradually became sparse, replaced by vast stretches of untamed wilderness and forest. Wild grass swayed freely in the wind, as if telling the story of this land's raw and desolate nature. In the distance, the mountains rose and fell like a giant dragon winding through the mist, adding a sense of mystery. As the road built with earth magic gave way to muddy paths leading into the wild, the convoy's pace slowed down. The wheels of the magic-powered carriages often sank into the mud, and under the knight's orders, the laborers struggled to lay stones to make the road passable, their shouts echoing one after another. Roland frowned as he looked at the rough road ahead, knowing that the real challenge was only beginning. "My lord, at this speed, we won't reach the planned rest point before dark." Oliver rode closer to the carriage. "If we can't set up camp before nightfall, the workers might suffer from poisonous insects or get lost." Roland thought for a moment, his eyes falling on the large plowing machines in the convoy, and an idea came to him. Let 20 plowing machines go first to flatten the road. The 130 supply carriages will follow in the middle, and the harvesters will move behind them. Roland couldn't help but feel relieved that when his family purchased grain, they had also bought those large magic-powered carriages, each capable of carrying 80 tons, and with a compartment over 50 square meters. Otherwise, the journey would have been even harder. The only drawback was that the lightning spell made the heavy carriages as light as normal ones, which caused them to sink easily into the muddy wilderness roads. After the formation was adjusted, the long convoy continued forward, heading deeper into the wildlands. A week later, the expedition team slowly entered Moonwatch Valley. The steep cliffs on both sides cast deep shadows, blocking out the sunlight. The valley was so quiet that only the sound of wheels crushing gravel could be heard. Roland sat inside his carriage, tapping his fingers lightly on the window frame. This terrain is too perfect for. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, explosions confirmed his suspicion. The plowing machine at the front shook violently as the ground erupted in bright flames. One after another, explosions spread along the valley floor. An ambush! It's a magic trap, Oliver shouted loudly, his voice echoing through the valley. Everyone stop! Cries of pain and the smell of burning filled the air. Roland jumped down from the chariot with a dark expression. His eyes swept across the scene and saw that the tracks of the front plowing machine had been blown apart, black smoke rising into the air. More than 100 laborers who had been following the machine had fallen. Over 80 people were killed instantly, and more than 20 were badly injured. James had already started leading the others to retreat. Artillery battalion. Roland's furious shout echoed through the valley. Level the entire front valley for me. Yes, my lord. Hans, hearing the order, broke into a sweat and shouted, quickly, move faster. Load the magic energy cores. Adjust the angle. The artillery crew swiftly placed 10 glowing magic energy cores into the rune-engraved discs, then adjusted the barrels toward the narrow passage. Fire! 3 magic cannons roared at once, their thunderous blasts shaking the valley. Thick beams of magical light shot out like lightning, tearing through the smoke and striking the ground in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. The hidden magic scrolls exploded all at once. Soil and stones flew in every direction, leaving dozens of blackened craters at the bottom of the valley. Dust filled the air everywhere. Just as everyone began to relax, the ground suddenly started to tremble again. A low hum grew louder, the earth shaking so hard that people could barely stand. Roland instantly pulled out several spell scrolls, his face calm as he looked toward the craters ahead. There, more than 30 giant metal claws were breaking through the ground. Tier 3 burrowing golems emerged, their grinding gears making a harsh, grating sound. Rotating blades on their backs gleamed coldly as they lunged toward the nearest workers. Oliver, leave it to me, my lord. Silver Knights, charge! Oliver shouted, pressing his legs against his mount. The storm horse neighed loudly, rearing up before dashing forward like an arrow released from a bow. 50 Silver Knights followed, shouting in unison. Their enchanted swords shone brightly as they urged their swift steeds onward. During the charge, Oliver shouted, "At my command, gather your battle energy." In an instant, the glow of battle energy flared around the knights, reflecting off the runes on their enchanted greatswords. As the distance closed, Oliver showed no fear. His eyes locked firmly on the charging earth golems. When only 5 meters remained, he suddenly raised his sword high. The light of his battle energy surged as he shouted, "Legion technique, wave." At once, 50 silver knights gathered their energy, raising their enchanted swords. Centered around Oliver, their synchronized breathing made them seem connected by invisible threads, their movements perfectly aligned. With a unified roar, the knights released their energy without restraint. It merged in midair, forming a transparent wave that engulfed the 33 charging golems. The wave was not still. It rolled and surged like a stormy sea. The moment the golems touched it, a deafening crash echoed through the battlefield. The golems were crushed by the force, metal fragments scattering as their bodies began to break apart. Strike! The golems were trapped, but the knights kept charging forward. The battle was one-sided. Mining machines could never match the power of extraordinary knights. With each swing of their swords, the golems were cut down into scrap metal. Oliver leapt into the air, his golden energy forming a massive sword of light that pierced through the last 5 golems in a single. Cries of pain echoed briefly before fading into silence. When the dust settled, Roland stepped over the wreckage and walked to the center of the battlefield. Smiling, he nodded to the knights who had dismounted and saluted. "Well done, all of you. You honor us, my lord. We are ready to serve you to the end." The knights responded in unison. At that moment, Oliver approached, dragging a man covered in dust. The man wore a uniform from Gran Mining and clutched a half-activated invisibility scroll. "Thud, my lord, I kept one alive for questioning," Oliver said. "Mercy, noble lord. Please spare me." Lamb was thrown to the ground. He quickly crawled forward on his knees, bowing so hard that his forehead struck the stones, blood running down his face. "I'm not with Gran Mining." Roland stepped on his left hand, his expression cold. "Then what? Did you steal that uniform?" It's, it's the effect of the mask of 1,000 faces. Lamb was in so much pain that sweat poured down his face. He quickly raised his right hand and wiped his face. A thin mask, covered in runes and as light as a cicada's wing, appeared in his hand. This is a family heirloom, an excellent grade artifact. Mon snatched the mask and examined it for a moment before nodding to Roland. It does have magical energy. Keep talking, Roland said, loosening his foot slightly from the man's chest. I'm actually an adventurer. My friend and I discovered a magic crystal mine in the Black Gold Ridge. Lamb swallowed hard, hatred flashing in his eyes. We agreed that he would find a buyer and sell the information. But instead of him, I saw the magic-powered airship of Griffin mining. I escaped early and used the mask of 1,000 faces to sneak into their group. It took me a month to find a chance for revenge. He gave a bitter smile, glancing at the broken puppets scattered on the ground. I never expected to be given a sudden mission, to delay your arrival at Black Gold Ridge. The more trouble I caused you, the greater the reward I'd get afterward. Griffin mining? How dare they? Roland's face darkened, his voice cold and sharp. Tell me everything about their plan. If you hide even one word, you'll end up in pieces. Sir, I've told you everything. They're mining in the Ironwood Forest near Black Gold Ridge, but they're already preparing to leave. If you spare my life, I'll lead you to their secret mine, and I'll also offer the treasure my friend and I hid in the Black Pine Plains. The more Roland listened, the angrier he became. He had already decided to hang every one of those thieves and send their heads to Wayland. Lamb, as long as you honestly lead me to the Ironwood Forest and help me find the people from Griffin mining, I'll spare your life. But if you dare to play any tricks, I'll find your family and make sure you all pay the price. Do you understand? Thank you, sir. I'll obey. I'll do whatever you say. Lamb kept bowing, his voice trembling with fear, his back soaked in cold sweat. If he had known things would turn out like this, he would never have tried to avenge his friend or thought about taking what wasn't his. Now he had lost everything. Holland rubbed his smooth head and looked at Lamb with disdain. With your courage, you still dare to. Roland looked at him expressionlessly. What? Are you saying you're braver than him? Holland quickly shrank his neck and didn't dare to speak again. Simon, take some men and go with Lamb to bring back the wealth that belongs to me. Hearing Roland's order, Simon grabbed the collapsed lamb from the ground like a chick. You heard him. Lead the way, and don't try any tricks, or you'll regret it. Lamb nodded repeatedly, trembling all over. At that moment, James had calmed the frightened slaves, servants, and craftsmen. He came to report, Master, more than 150 slaves are dead or seriously injured, and about 20 have minor injuries from the stampede. After hearing the report, Roland felt a headache coming on. Minor injuries were fine, but there was no time to treat the serious ones. The seriously injured, handle them as you see fit. It sounded harsh, but the precious healing scrolls could not be wasted on slaves. In this world, only Grand Magisters could make magic scrolls, and they were sold only to nobles. James understood immediately, bowed slightly, and said calmly, Don't worry, Master. I'll take care of it properly. Slaves are numbers, a kind of wealth, not truly people. Since I've come to this world, I must adapt to its rules. Roland rubbed his temples, trying to convince himself. At that moment, his hatred toward the Gran Mining Company, which had caused him such losses, grew even stronger. After ordering the group to set up camp, Roland's noble tent, like a small palace, was built first. The tent was octagonal, embroidered with golden family crests, and spacious enough for more than 20 people to move comfortably inside. Sitting on a chair covered with thunder goose feathers, Roland called in Oliver, James, and Morn. Sit down. You all know the situation. Let's hear your suggestions. Roland looked at the three men, his guard captain, commander, and steward. This was his core team for now. Lisa brought in steaming cups of Longwan coffee, and the rich aroma quickly filled the tent. Lifting his coffee and taking a small sip, Roland set the cup down. His eyes swept over the three men before he spoke seriously. Let's hear it. Mon said calmly, My lord, I believe Gran Mining dared to act this way under Wayleen's orders. They probably have more tricks prepared. For safety, I suggest we delay our advance and send scouts ahead first. Oliver shook his head. If they had more tricks, they would have used them during the ambush. To secretly mine without being noticed, their operation can't be that large. Besides, low-level scouts are too weak at detecting magic. That's why they found nothing last time. Gran mining is trying to run now. Compared to them, I'm more worried about the frontier lords around our territory. Humph. No matter what schemes they have, my lord, I suggest we send our men right away and capture those thieves who dared to steal your wealth. Then we'll report WASTELAND to the kingdom's development department. Surprised, Roland glanced at the furious Jam, not expecting him to share his own thoughts. After hearing all three suggestions, Roland tapped his fingers lightly on the table, thought for a moment, and gave his orders. Oliver, prepare the troops and arrange the march. When Simon returns, you'll lead 50 silver knights with me. We'll set out for Ironwood Forest tonight. Jam's face tightened. My lord, it's too dangerous for you to go personally. I'll bring Holland and Simon with me. Don't worry. I'm a high-level silver knight, and I have the family scrolls. How dangerous can a small company like Gran Mining be? Hearing about the scrolls, the butler finally relaxed. Only nobles could afford such powerful magical items. Mon, you'll lead the infantry to protect the main force. Work closely with Jam. If any frontier lord dares to cause trouble, use the magic cannon. Don't save the magic cores. Mon replied firmly, rest assured, my lord. I'll bring the troops safely to the territory. After sending the three to make their preparations, Roland leaned back in his chair, gathering his thoughts. If he couldn't rely on long-range magic, it meant he had to take up his greatsword and fight on horseback. He knew this day would come sooner or later. Though a bit uneasy, he felt even more determined. On this continent where the strong rule over the weak, only great power could protect everything he cared about. At that moment, Lisa, who had been quietly attending to him, bit her lower lip with worry. She took a step forward, hesitating before speaking. Master. Roland calmed his thoughts, reached out, and gently pulled her into his arms. Breathing in the faint scent of her hair, he said firmly, don't worry. I will return safely. Take good care of yourself and help James manage the servants. Yes, I'll be waiting for you to come back. Lisa nodded obediently, her eyes glistening as she held his waist. She was sensible enough not to say more. After comforting her, Roland walked alone to the entrance of the tent and looked out at the busy camp. The night's shadows stretched long in the firelight. The air was filled with the sounds of neighing horses, clashing weapons, rolling wheels, and the low murmurs of the slaves. All of it made Roland feel deeply moved. This was his domain, his foundation. His gaze grew more determined in the night. After dinner, Holland entered to report, my lord, Simon has returned. Let him in. Covered in dust, but full of excitement, the guard entered the tent. He knelt on one knee and reported loudly, my lord, Lamb's hideout has been completely cleared. I've brought back all the wealth for you. Roland smiled. Rise. How much is there exactly? Simon stood and replied eagerly, more than 30,000 gold coins worth of wealth. About 15,000 in gold coins, and the rest in goods like salt, sugar, and iron ingots. Haha, it seems Lamb came to bring me a gift. Touching his chin, Roland paused for a moment. Then a sly smile appeared on his face as a new idea formed. Lamb has been wandering the ashen wastelands for years. He must know the terrain and the local powers well. He can provide me with information and lead soldiers disguised as bandits to raid caravans and frontier lands. If Lamb robs them, what does that have to do with me, Roland? It seems Lamb has the makings of a bandit king. Feeling pleased with himself, he laughed heartily. Huh, ahem, go take care of it. Seeing Simon's puzzled expression, Roland quickly regained his calm demeanor. He was a man who had never led anyone before, a quiet, awkward office worker in his past life, now suddenly turned into a noble lord holding the power of life and death. He still needed time to adjust. Inside the tent, the ornate standing clock ticked steadily, its hands circling until it reached midnight, the same as in his previous world's time system. Roland led Oliver, Holland, and Simon, along with the elite cavalry of the Radiant Knights, all of whom had reached the advanced silver level. Under the cover of night, they rode swiftly toward the Ironwood Forest. Without a large army to slow them down, the Gale horses and Storm War horses, carrying knights with night vision, charged forward at incredible speed. Dust rose beneath their hooves as they crossed the wilderness with ease, their broad mounts steady and powerful. Roland, clad in enchanted plate armor forged from threaded steel, rode a storm warhorse equal to a third-tier gold beast. Feeling the wind rush past him, his blood stirred with excitement. In just 1 hour, the team covered a distance that would take a caravan a week, reaching the border between the Black Gold Ridge and the Knot Hills. The verdant river, running through the Ashen Mines, served as the natural boundary between the two territories. Roland rode to the riverbank. Across the shimmering water lay the lands of black gold, faintly visible in the night, the foundation of his rise in this world. Oliver approached and whispered, "My lord, once we cross the river, the Ironwood Forest is not far ahead." "Good. Then, stay alert. Cross the river." At his command, the knights urged their mounts into the water. The 2.2-meter gale horses and 2.5-meter storm war horses swam steadily across the 20-meter-wide river and stepped onto the soil of Black Gold Ridge. Aloha echoed. The moment Roland set foot on Black Gold land, a glowing panel appeared before him. The taskbar finally showed completion. His special ability was now active. Panel. Name: Roland Augustus, 18/120. Class: Advanced Silver Knight, 67 out of 100. Bloodline: Unawakened, 73 out of 100. Skills: Detection. Map experience: 0 army. To be added, 736 loyal subordinates with over 60 loyalty. Unique quest: Gain a territory to unlock full system functions. Completed. Roland's face lit up with excitement. He turned to Oliver and ordered, "Rest here for 30 minutes. Then he dismounted, sat on a rock, and began studying the panel. Opening the army interface, he grinned at the long list of pending entries. He quickly added all the listed personnel, then opened each individual subpanel to review their details one by one. Lisa, 95, profession, none potential, level 5 experience. 0 James, 90, profession, bronze intermediate knight potential, level 5 elemental Mona, 91, profession, gold advanced knight potential, level 7 domain Simon, 90, profession, gold intermediate knight potential, level 7 Roland, 92, profession, gold intermediate knight potential, level 7 Oliver, 92, profession, gold advanced knight potential, level 7. After reviewing the panel, Roland smiled with satisfaction. The loyalty of the core members is all above 90, and all soldiers' loyalty exceeds 80. This world's soul scroll still has some value. According to the system, loyalty above 80 means unwavering loyalty and unlikely to betray. Above 90 means true devotion. Loyalty at 60 is just passing and can change at any time. 70 means unlikely to betray easily. 100 indicates a fanatic who would sacrifice their life without hesitation. Although loyalty levels don't change once recorded on the panel, the degree of trust they show in their actions varies. With a thought, a mini-map appeared in the top right corner of the view, similar to those in video games from the past. It currently only shows the terrain near the Green River. The panel automatically records within a 1-kilometer radius. As the level of the extraordinary increases, the recording range can expand. They are now on an open grassy field next to the Green River. On the map, a gold dot represents Roland. Surrounding the gold dot are small dark blue dots. Blue indicates loyalty above 60, with darker shades representing higher loyalty. Among the blue dots, there is a dark green one. This is Lamb, whose loyalty is below 60 and shows no hostility. Roland was a bit surprised. Despite having robbed his wealth and controlling his life and death, Lamb showed no hostility. Curious, Roland waved at the prisoner being guarded in the distance. "Lamb, come here." "Respected master, I obey your command." Lamb, who had been twisted by Roland, knelt and kissed the master's boots. His humble attitude made Roland curious. "You don't hate me? You're not afraid I'll kill you after I finish leading you?" The humble servant does not hate the Lord. It's all because of foolishness and self-inflicted suffering. "I only hate the Gran Mining Company. He told us you are just an ordinary pioneering noble, not from the Eternal Earl family. To know the truth, I already ran away with a mask." At this moment, Roland gained a deep understanding of the world and the power of the great noble's rule. Faced with the great noble who had stolen all his wealth, Lamb felt genuinely unable to blame him. "What? I am also a great noble." "Oh, then it's fine. Roland withdrew his wandering thoughts and, turning to Lamb, who was still kneeling, asked casually, "I have an option for you. Would you like to hear it?" Lamb knew clearly that he had no real choice. He quickly and respectfully replied, "From now on, my life is yours. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do." Satisfied, Roland smiled and drew his sword, placing it lightly on Lamb's left shoulder. "Lamb, swear your oath." Lamb was shocked by this sudden surprise. From a prisoner who could be executed at any moment, he had become a follower of a noble. Fate was truly unpredictable. "I, Lamb Hill, swear with my soul that I will serve Lord Roland for the rest of my life and dedicate my life to him." Roland kindly helped him up. Seeing the small blue dot on the map representing Lamb, he casually threw in a probe. Lamb, 63, bronze level, advanced, potential, level 5, experience 0. It's worth noting that in this world, nobles can also use special detection devices to check potential, but most people do not reach their potential limit. Basic building skills, combat injuries, experience, personality, all these factors can cause bottlenecks and limit growth. The panel can break through these limits, allowing the user to reach the theoretical maximum. "Very good. Lamb, Lord Roland needs you to become a bandit." Roland's words caused the excited adventurer to momentarily freeze. "Huh? Lord?" Lamb, hesitant to speak, was interrupted by Roland. "What? Not now. I'm not asking you to do it immediately. We'll talk about it later. First, lead us to the Gran mining outpost." Though puzzled, Lamb dared not ask more and quickly nodded in agreement. Roland turned his horse around, and the team set off again. Along the way, Roland kept a close eye on the map in the top right corner of his view. As the team moved forward, information kept updating, giving him a clear view of everything within a 1-kilometer radius. The dense Ironwood Forest gradually came into view. It was named for its abundant production of versatile ironwood. Furniture and houses made from this ironwood were sturdy and durable. Coating them with a layer of anti-corrosion paint could make them last for hundreds of years. It was a valuable resource. As we entered the Ironwood Forest, several winding paths appeared before us. These were likely created by the people from Gran mining to mislead others. At this moment, Horan, who was leading with Lamb on horseback, rode up to Roland. Lamb respectfully said, "Sir, the paths in front are deliberately made by Gran mining to confuse people. Actually, the camp is behind a small hill on the right side of the forest. They all use small magic-powered airships to come and go. Quite cautious." Roland couldn't help but admire their professionalism. "Everyone dismount and move forward carefully. Oliver, lead the team. Don't alert them." Everyone dismounted and carefully led their warhorses forward. The forest was so quiet it felt a bit oppressive. The occasional chirping of insects sounded especially harsh at this moment. After a difficult journey, Roland used the map to successfully deal with 3 hidden guards. About half an hour later, they reached the woods near the Gran mining outpost. The outpost was surrounded by tall wooden walls connected to a small hill at the back. In front was an open, flat area. Hanging on the wooden wall were dim yellow oil lamps swaying in the night breeze. On the watchtower, several figures paced back and forth, alertly watching the surroundings. Based on what Lamb and the captured spy had told him, Roland was somewhat familiar with the camp. Excited, he asked, "My commander, how should we attack?" Oliver smiled helplessly. "Sir, this is just a group of 70 or 80 bronze-level overseers and guards. The strongest, Locke, is only at mid-silver level. We can just charge directly with the team." Seeing that their commander clearly didn't want to risk himself, Roland had to temporarily give up his plan to experiment with experience points. After all, a wise person doesn't build a dangerous wall. Who knows what tricks Gran mining might have up their sleeves? Oliver mounted his warhorse, gripping his sword hilt with his right hand. "Prepare." The silver-ranked knights quickly responded, all mounting their horses. Then, with a sharp shing, they drew their enchanted longswords that shimmered with cold light. The moonlight reflected off the blades, casting a chilling glow. Roland, riding his horse and protected by Horan and Simon, ordered, "Go, capture Locke alive." Oliver suddenly swung his sword forward. "Charge!" With that command, the cavalry riding magical warhorses surged forward like a flood, smashing everything in their path as they rushed toward the outpost. The guards on the watchtower were startled by the loud noise. Sharp alarm bells suddenly pierced the night sky. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! The outpost was in chaos. The resting guards and overseers woke up suddenly, panicking as they rushed out of their rooms. They hurriedly looked for weapons, trying to organize a defense, but due to the short time, their efforts were barely effective. Oliver took the lead, his fighting spirit surging wildly. He shouted loudly, "Legion technique, sword." His voice rolled like thunder, as if an explosion had erupted on the ground. He activated his enchanted longsword, which shone brightly. Runes flickered along the blade, and his fighting energy surged like a mighty tide, flowing up his arm and gradually covering his entire body. Following behind, the Silver Knights also released their fighting energy from enchanted swords. All their energy intertwined and gathered above the team, shining brilliantly. Oliver skillfully guided the energy. The fighting energy from the same breathing technique flowed together like rivers converging into the sea. In an instant, a long, transparent sword of fighting energy formed slowly above his head. Oliver suddenly swung his sword. The giant sword above him seemed to come alive, carrying a destructive power that could destroy the heavens and earth, and slashed toward the gate of the outpost. Boom! A loud explosion sounded. The outpost gate, fragile as if made of paper, shattered instantly under this immense power. The huge sword continued its sweep, smashing tents, wooden houses, and guards within 10 meters along the way into dust. The power of this strike made everyone inside the outpost feel fear like wild grass growing uncontrollably, their faces full of despair. Except for Loak. From the moment he saw the army, he knew everything was over. The elite combat team of the Extraordinary Legion could kill everyone in the outpost in just 1 minute. His face flickered with uncertainty. Finally, as if making a firm decision, with a look of despair, he crazily charged toward the magic crystal mine. Since death was certain, he decided to up the mine and take everyone with him. The knights flooded into the outpost like a tide, swinging their swords equally at everyone in the camp. Wherever they went, heads rolled, and resistance or surrender was meaningless. Oliver rode his horse through the camp. Every swing of his sword was accompanied by 2 flying chunks of flesh. His only goal was clear: capture Loak alive, and then strangle him to death. The sharp eyes searched the camp and soon found the silver figure rushing toward the small hill, holding the annihilation magic crystal. "Rock! How dare you!" With a loud shout, the Storm Warhorse's bloodline was activated. Oliver, along with his mount, turned into a storm and rushed toward Rock at top speed. All objects and people along the way were cut into pieces by wind blades. In just 1 second, Rock appeared 100 meters away. He sheathed his sword and leapt off his warhorse. His fist, filled with powerful fighting energy, knocked the enchanted dagger from Rock's right hand, then heavily struck his chest. Rock couldn't dodge and was sent flying like a broken kite, crashing into the mountain wall with a dull sound. Cough, cough. Blood dripped from Rock's mouth. He struggled to get up, but found his whole body in severe pain and couldn't exert any strength. Meanwhile, the slaughter in the camp gradually stopped. The ground was covered with bodies lying in disarray, and the blood under the bright moonlight looked especially glaring. In just 3 minutes, the entire battle ended with the cavalry's overwhelming, crushing force. Oliver strode toward Rock, who was collapsed under the mountain wall. He grabbed him from the ground, broke his left fingers, and took the glowing annihilation magic crystal from his palm. Normal people couldn't bear the pain of their fingers being broken one by one, and Rock was no exception. He let out a desperate scream, his voice full of despair. Oliver looked at him coldly and said, "You think you can up the magic crystal mine? Just wait for your family to regret on the gallows." After saying that, he ignored him and threw him like a rag to the soldiers rushing over behind him, ordering strict supervision. At the same time, the soldiers began to clean up the battlefield in an orderly manner, gathering the bodies and dragging them outside the camp for burning. Roland, accompanied by his personal guards, entered the stronghold. Seeing everything before him, he was filled with shock and excitement. This is the strength of the Extraordinary Legion. It's amazing. This is just a standard combat squad. If it were an elite squad made up of peak gold tier members. Hiss, Thinking of the family's peak Starshine Knights, the elite Starry Radiance Knights, and the standard Radiant Knights from his memory, Roland suddenly felt uneasy. Old Dung, you keep calling your son. So why don't you give me an elite knight squad? Humph. I still have to rely on myself. In the future, I can openly say that everything I have comes from my effort and extraordinary wisdom. Roland's scattered thoughts were brought back by Oliver. Sir, the battlefield has been cleared. Tell me, this time, our army suffered no casualties. We killed 83 enemy guards and escorts, captured Loak and 300 mind slaves. We also seized a destruction magic crystal, some ordinary weapons and food, a magic energy airship, and in the warehouse, there are 13,627 recently mined magic crystals and 50 magic crystal cores. After speaking, Oliver took out the destruction magic crystal and handed it over. Roland took it and asked curiously, "Is this the song of life and death?" Oliver nodded and replied, "Loak just tried to use it to trigger an explosion in the magic crystal mine." What? Roland almost lost his temper upon hearing this. Loak must be torn to pieces. Fortunately, you stopped him. No, we can't let him go easily. When James arrives, we must report to the Human Alliance and include the Gran Mining Company. Roland was unusually angry at this moment, as death almost caught up with him again. He couldn't have guessed that Loak actually had such a thing as a destruction magic crystal, and was so decisive and ruthless. The Song of Life and Death is one of the world's rare treasures. It only appears at the junction of two mineral veins, and only when one vein is exhausted and the other begins to form. It changes its form once a month. The form of life is called Spirit Emerald Magic Crystal. When activated, it merges into the mineral vein, automatically absorbing elements from the world to revive the vein. The form of death is called Destruction Magic Crystal. Using it, mineral veins of the material type gradually deplete, and energy-type veins can explode instantly. The Human Alliance and all continents and ocean races have jointly issued restrictions on the use of the Song of Life and Death. Anyone who dares to use a destruction magic crystal on a mineral vein will be punished by executing 3 generations of their direct family. Oliver paused and thought, such a precious item, if the news leaks, it definitely won't stay with him. I suggest secretly executing the plan. If it can't be hidden until the end and the news gets out, just say it was offered to the family for use. After all, it's just a small song of life and death. All right, let's handle it that way for now. Deciding on the plan, Roland ordered his bodyguard, Simon, interrogate Loak and squeeze every bit of information from him. Let's go. Come with me to see the magic crystal mine, Roland said, inviting Oliver and Horan to follow as they headed toward the mine entrance at the foot of the hill. A wide, underground passage appeared before Roland, large enough for 5 people to walk side by side. Oil lamps hung on both sides, lighting the way as they descended about 10 meters. Suddenly, a huge platform over 3,000 square meters came into view. This was where the camp's warehouse was located. On the open ground, 300 captured miners trembled together, waiting for their fate. The surrounding rock walls were filled with narrow paths and holes carved out for living spaces where the miners resided. Roland looked at the terrified slaves and ordered Horan, "Let the miners rest and give them a few days off. I still have a kind heart." Horan stroked his shiny bald head and grinned. These country folks are lucky. Roland planned to take some free time to check all the slaves and see if anyone was missed. He took Oliver to stand in front of the platform's railing, overlooking the mining area below. The large mining zone stretched out in a fan shape along the stairs on both sides of the platform. 3 mining tunnels extended deep into the earth, and beneath the platform, various mining machinery and equipment powered by magic energy were piled up. Thanks to Gran Mining, they built this mine for me. Oliver, remember this. To thank Loak, I will send a message to the family to reunite with his relatives. Roland's face was full of anger. This huge mine, during this time, had stolen countless riches from Lord Roland. He completely forgot that before reaching Grand City, Black Gold Ridge did not belong to him. Yes, my lord. Oliver nodded in agreement. Those thieves should all be hanged. After inspecting the mine, Roland stored the crystals and cores in his warehouse and then returned to the surface. He approached a 13-meter-long, spear-shaped magic airship made of special alloy, engraved with runes all over its body. I'm staying inside today. Roland turned to Oliver and ordered, let the soldiers rest and assign someone to stand guard. After giving the instructions, he entered the passenger lounge of the airship. He opened the panel and saw the military interface, filled with dense information about experience points gained. Oliver, 92, profession, Gold Advanced Knight, potential, level 7, experience, 310. All bronze level units, whether beginner, intermediate, or advanced, give 10 experience points each. Oliver has defeated 31 of them. Kills from the Legion skill are distributed based on contribution, which makes sense. Tomorrow, I will test the silver experience with Loak. Roland looked at the panel for a long time, but didn't see any points added. He understood that it was probably because he didn't have enough experience points. The entire squad was at least at the silver advanced level. Just killing bronze units wouldn't get them anywhere. He took out the Song of Life and Death, a magic crystal emitting a bright gray-white glow, reflecting Roland's uncertain expression. Since he first touched this magic crystal, the experience points on his panel kept flashing, giving him a feeling that the Song of Life and Death could be turned into experience. In front of Oliver, Roland forcibly suppressed his impatience and handled everything calmly, worried that revealing his ability to absorb this special crystal might cause trouble. The panel was Roland's greatest confidence and secret in this world. No one could tell. Now, let me see how effective this little thing is when you pose and tease. Holding the magic crystal, Roland confirmed his intention to absorb it. The Annihilation Crystal, glowing with a bright gray-white light, first dimmed in brightness, then emitted a vivid greenish glow, which after fading, burst out again in gray-white. The greenish and gray-white colors alternated continuously for half an hour. As expected of a rare item, its energy is so abundant. Watching as the crystal was finally absorbed by the panel and turned into powder, Roland marveled and opened the panel again. Name: Roland Augustus, 18/120, profession, Silver Advanced Knight, 67 out of 100, bloodline, not awakened, 73 out of 100 skills, investigation, map experience, 200,000. Why is it only this much? Such a big rare item. The panel is too stingy, ugh, Roland muttered unhappily. Actually, he understood that the magic crystal acting on the mineral veins, which contains the rules of life and death, would be transformed into experience points with some loss. But this is human nature. People always want more. Forget it. Since you are the most loyal to me, I forgive you, Abin, Roland said shamelessly, smiling proudly at the control panel. If you don't answer, I'll assume you agree. Haha. Only when alone could Roland relax his playful personality. Outside, he was the son of a noble family. Strict family rules made him stay calm and reliable in front of others, always maintaining a serious appearance. With my incredible willpower, supreme wisdom, unbeatable talent, deep blue, give me some more. Let me see your limit. Roland's rebellious spirit burst out. He suddenly stood up straight, serious, and pointed his finger at the bloodline bar in his view. He clicked 27 times with both hands, spending 2,700 experience points to push his bloodline to the limit. In an instant, Roland, who was posing, suddenly felt pain and kneeled down. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Why does it hurt so much? His teeth almost clenched, suspecting this was a revenge from the small control panel. Cold sweat dripped down his face, and his blood started to boil inside. From the legendary rules of Augustus the Great, a huge starry light burst out from deep within his bloodline, starting from his heart. The energy from the surrounding 10 meters gathered toward Roland. This powerful scene drew the attention of the entire camp. Oliver, Horan, and Simon quickly ran to the airship. Simon, usually quiet, couldn't help but praise. Master activated his bloodline before turning 18 and becoming a golden rank. He's a genius. Oliver then told the approaching soldiers, patrol the battle formation. Watch the prisoner. Don't let anyone disturb the master. After giving orders, he and his 2 guards entered the airship to guard Roland's room. Meanwhile, Roland was reaching his final moment. With the help of elemental power, the glowing bloodline force gradually wrapped around his whole body. With a low roar, the bloodline power, merging with his heart and the seed of fighting spirit, slowly calmed down. Every muscle in my body is relaxing happily. My limbs feel as if they have endless strength, able to break through anything. I have grown 5 centimeters taller, now reaching 188 centimeters. My previously sturdy body has become mighty and strong, like an inflated balloon. Hearing the laughter, Oliver and the others breathe a sigh of relief. Congratulations, Lord. The three of them cheer loudly, causing the cavalry to cheer enthusiastically. Congratulations to Lord Roland. Congratulations to Lord Roland. The cheers outside make Roland smile proudly and say to the door, I feel like I've made a breakthrough. I'll celebrate after reaching the gold level. Oliver and the others exchange happy glances, respectfully agree, and continue guarding the door. Roland feels the bloodline awakening, loosening the golden bottleneck, and begins to activate the starry breathing technique passed down from Duke Augustus, which can only be cultivated by family bloodlines. As he enters cultivation mode, surrounding elemental particles rush toward him. Roland feels like he has become a bottomless pit, with the seed of fighting spirit in his heart greedily absorbing all kinds of elements, growing stronger and stronger. After an unknown amount of time, a powerful aura appears, and Roland successfully breaks through to become a golden knight. Haha, I am truly a genius. With an excited face, Roland calls out to the people outside the door, Come in. Oliver, smiling happily, along with the equally joyful Horn and Simon, step inside and bow respectfully. Congratulations, Lord. Your brilliance will surely shine over the ashen mines. Roland's lips twitch as he happily accepts their blessings, then pretends to be serious and says, Stop praising me. Stop praising me. My achievements are nothing compared to my older brother activating his bloodline at 15 and reaching the elemental level by 18. It's not worth mentioning. Not worth mentioning. Seeing Roland act modestly with a look full of pride, Oliver and Simon, both over 30, exchange smiles. At this moment, Roland looks like a child. Horan, only 25 and a bit silly, touches his bald head in agreement. Yes, Lord Sol has been a famous genius in the kingdom since he was young. Roland's expression stiffens as he glances at this clueless, silly guy. He helplessly says, All right, go rest now. I'm tired. Oliver and Simon hold back their laughter, pull Horan, who still wants to speak, bow, and quickly leave the room. Confused, Horan hurriedly asks the two, What's going on? After leaving the airship, Oliver and Simon exchanged a quick look and burst into laughter. Simon, unable to hold back, explained happily, You spoiled the grown-ups' good mood. Holland looked confused and shrugged, saying, I didn't do anything. Oliver shook his head with a gentle smile and stopped them. All right, we've had a busy day. Let's rest now. We have important things to do tomorrow. Inside the airship, after the three left, Roland opened the panel. Name, Roland Augustus, level 18/150. Occupation, Bronze Beginner, level 1/100. Bloodline, Descendant of the Starshine Skills. Investigation, Map Experience, 197,300. After allocating points, Roland understood how to use experience. Bloodline points cost 100 each until awakening. Level breakthroughs happen when enough experience is gained for each rank. As I expected, awakening my bloodline first allows me to naturally advance to bronze. It's like getting a free upgrade, haha. Roland secretly enjoyed and tried adding points to his rank. Bronze Beginner, level 99 out of 100. Experience, 193,380. He used 3,920 experience points, feeling only a slight warmth. The panel indicated that during future training, his strength would gradually improve through fusion. If he wanted instant progress, he needed to add experience points again. Roland found the panel very considerate, offering two options. A ban, why don't you just instantly boost by 80 points? Why make me save? As expected of you, go eat dirt. At dusk, Roland, who had just woken up, took out an enchanted armor from his space ring and activated the runes with his fighting energy. The armor, like Iron Man in movies, automatically donned itself piece by piece. He took out a magic core to energize the armor and sighed. This enchanted armor is really cool, but the magic cores that cost 100 gold coins each can only be used 20 times for automatic donning. Fighting consumes energy even faster. The army really burns through money. Thinking about his gold worries, Roland remembered the thief Loak who stole his wealth. He quickly stepped away from the airship. When arriving at the wooden cabin where Locke is held, Simon was sitting at the door, guarding it. Seeing him, Simon quickly stood up and saluted. "Sir, has Locke given any information?" Roland asked directly. Simon shook his head, a look of helplessness on his face. Locke is very stubborn. No matter how we try to interrogate him, he refuses to speak. Roland frowned, a hint of anger in his eyes. He strode into the cabin. Inside, the dimly lit cabin, Locke was hanging from the ceiling beam with his hands. His body was covered in wounds, with no part free of injury. When he heard footsteps, he looked up at the two men, his face full of hatred. "If you tell everything, I might consider sparing your family," Roland said. Seeing Locke, who looked battered and broken, Roland showed no sympathy. After all, this man had almost taken his life. "Don't think about it, Roland. I won't say anything. Just wait. Someone will deal with you." "Ha ha," Locke sneered mockingly. Roland shook his head and sighed. "I'm a kind person. I really want to spare your family. Don't worry, they'll be with you soon." After speaking, he drew his enchanted long sword from his waist and cut it across Locke's neck. In an instant, the blade sliced through flesh, separating his head from his body. The severed head, with a look of relief in its eyes, fell heavily to the ground, making a dull thud. This was Roland's first time killing someone, but he didn't react as many stories described. In his previous life, out of curiosity, he had watched countless horror movies and dark web videos. He took a handkerchief from his space ring, wiped the blood off his sword, and then carefully placed it on the wide-open eyes. Turning to Simon, he ordered, "Handle this." Then he headed toward the mine, glancing at the panel showing activity along the way. Experience points: 193,400. Bronze 10, silver 20, gold 40. Looks like they doubled, but element ranks are different. I wonder if they also doubled. At the entrance of the mine, Roland looked up at the small hill about 16 or 17 meters high. He squatted down, muscles tensing instantly. With a low shout, he suddenly exerted force and leapt upward. He precisely landed on a protruding rock halfway up the hill, erupted with fighting energy, and jumped again, reaching the top. He looked out at the Ironwood Forest under the setting sun. Under the glow of the setting sun, the Ironwood Forest looked like a vast black ocean stretching endlessly.